Does that help Tesla? I mean, you had Tim Waltz, who's a huge jerk, right? You know.
They laughed. They laughed when, in 2008, a little-known Chinese company sold 10% of its shares to some irrelevant investor named Warren Buffett. They laughed when BYD released batteries for phones and its first clunky hybrids. While everyone was watching Elon Musk put on a show, a system was being built in the shadows, factory after factory, chip after chip, in complete silence, without hype, without loud promises. And now, while the world discusses Tesla's next tweet, 30,000 electric cars are already hitting the roads every day, and all of them are made by one company, BYD.
Running around on stage with a Tesla stock price, where the stock price had gone in half. And he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do. What a creep, what a jerk. Like, who derives joy?
This is not just success. It is a silent revolution, an electric vehicle revolution that no one is shouting about because it has already happened. BYD is not catching up with Tesla. It has overtaken it in sales, in revenue, in production speed. And the scariest thing? No one even noticed.
Well, this feels more like a Tesla-only story when you look at just this fall in EV sales for them, that they're suffering across Europe, down 45% in January. The wider EV market in Europe up 37%, so rivals are catching up and performing.
They do everything in-house: batteries, chips, bodies, even their own chemicals. While other companies wait for components to be delivered from 3 continents, BYD simply goes to the next workshop. Their factories operate with the precision of processors. Assembly is faster than Samsung's, more reliable than Toyota's. While others argue about cobalt, they have abandoned it altogether. While Tesla is making plans, they are signing contracts with governments.
I mean, the things that he's doing is not trying to make America better. He's ruining our infrastructure, every department in our government. He's ruining, and he's right now destroying our economy. He's taken away all of our allies. We're a pariah in the world.
In China, entire taxi fleets have been replaced by BYD. In Europe, municipal buses. In Latin America, garbage trucks and trucks. From Budapest to Bogota, cities are switching to their transport. Not because it's trendy, but because it works. No smoke, no fire, no breakdowns. BYD batteries don't catch fire. They pass tests that cause others to explode. This isn't just progress. It's a new engineering philosophy.
Outperforming as well in some cases, doing better than Tesla. And you just have to think, how much more is this a sustained issue for Tesla going forward, given the fact that you have Elon Musk, who's been very forthright in his opinions, particularly weighing in on politics, particularly in Europe. We've just had the European elections, which Musk has been very focused on. But across the piece, when you look at the performance for Tesla in Europe, it's not just in small countries. There are a lot of countries where Tesla has been performing badly, including in Germany, in the UK, where it has been lagging, and Spain as well.
And now they're coming to the US, not through Washington, through Mexico, under the guise of a trade agreement. While politicians discuss tariffs, BYD is building a factory a few kilometers from the border. Soon their cars will be assembled under the Made in Mexico label, and they will enter the market without tariffs, with a price tag of $10,000. Neither Tesla, Ford, nor Volkswagen will be able to hold their ground. They won't be able to lower their prices. They won't be able to compete. You won't hear this in press releases. But it's clear on the streets there are more BYDs than Teslas in Rome. In Madrid, they are replacing local brands. In Hamburg, they are being bought by the dozen. And in California, school districts are already signing multi-year contracts.
Teslas are being torched across the country. Dealerships shot up and set on fire. Spray paint to vandalize and make a statement. People in Southern California are getting notes on their Teslas, calling them complicit Nazis for owning electric cars.
Tesla lost its future the moment it thought it had everything under control. While it was playing at marketing, BYD rewrote the map of the automotive world. Not because it shouted louder, but because it built more quietly. Tension. Everything you knew about electric cars is now obsolete. Everything changed when it was too late. While the world waited for Musk's next presentation, BYD was quietly building an empire that no one noticed until it became a threat to national security. Today, this Chinese company produces 30,000 electric cars a day. These are not concepts. These are not prototypes. These are real cars that are already on the streets of hundreds of cities around the world. Their production capacity has grown by 400% over the past 2 years, and this is just the beginning. While Tesla investors were celebrating the new Cybertruck logo, BYD opened another automated factory in Shenzhen capable of assembling a car in 2.7 minutes. This is no exaggeration. Surveillance cameras at one of the facilities recorded that it took 164 seconds from the moment the body was welded to the moment it rolled out onto the test track. No other automaker, including Toyota and Volkswagen, has come close to this pace.
That's from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. People just choosing with their wallets to not buy Teslas because of that Musk-Trump association. And actually here in London, an activist group called Everyone Hates Elon actually have been hacking bus stop signs with posters. I actually passed one yesterday. First, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but it said the words 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. Illusion here, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or something. But this poster was alluding to the start of World War II, and the image was of Musk giving that hand salute that we saw at Trump's inauguration that many have attacked as a Nazi gesture. Musk, though, has neither admitted or denied what he was doing. But we're seeing the knock-on effect of that anti-Musk anger across Europe and in terms of sales.
But it's not even about speed. It's about a way of thinking, an industrial philosophy that leaves no room for external dependencies. While Tesla is building gigafactories, BYD is building gigasystems. Completely self-sufficient production clusters where everything is geared toward a single goal: to produce more, faster, and more reliably. From ore to finished car, everything is in-house. BYD's lithium processing plants are located 20 kilometers from the assembly lines. Chips for control units are printed in its own factories, built to Japanese technical standards, but adapted to Chinese hyper-efficiency. Electronic components are configured directly on the production line, and each microchip undergoes automatic calibration with an error margin of less than 0.00003%. This level of precision was previously only available in the aerospace industry.
Well, you will hear people over in Europe say the new Model Y, the Juniper, could be a difference maker, but that's been in that market now for more than a month. And you would think that you'd see a greater snapback if it's going to be a difference maker. Look, we could be wrong. It could be a difference maker once you get the sales for April, May, and June. But when you have a country like Norway, I think the sales were down something like 11% there. I mean, that's a very savvy EV consumer in Norway. And that's long been a strength for Tesla. Very small market, not huge volume, but I think almost all of the vehicles they sell there are electric. And they embraced Tesla long before others. And, the reports there are not encouraging.
According to unofficial data, in 2023, BYD introduced its own operating system to manage all production cycles, not only vehicles, but also logistics, repairs, and supplies. It uses modified artificial intelligence based on open Chinese developments, but refined by a group of engineers who previously worked at Huawei and Alibaba Cloud. This system predicts equipment failures 4 days before the first deviations in working algorithms appear, which effectively eliminates unplanned downtime. It also manages the assembly rhythm, adjusting the speed of the lines depending on demand and current deliveries, which are updated in real time using satellite monitoring. Meanwhile, Tesla halted production several times in 2024 due to disruptions in cobalt and graphite supplies. A single logistics failure froze assembly in Nevada for 6 hours. At the same time, BYD opened an additional shift in Hefei to meet growing demand in South Asia. Their logistics architecture is built like an organism, in which one part can take over the work of another without any loss of productivity. While Western brands struggle with incompatible modules and contract disruptions, BYD operates like a synchronized digital symphony orchestra.
A 371, most were saying 350 to 360. Now they're coming in at 336,068. Production of 362, 615. So for some point of reference here, you're going back to Q2, maybe Q1 of 2022 in terms of the last time that they had production this or deliveries this low for one quarter. So again, Tesla deliveries worse than expected at just over 336,000 deliveries in the first quarter. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
That's horrible. Can I just ask Phil, how about the Cybertruck? How's that doing? You got a little inventory there in the Cybertruck?
This gives them more than just an advantage. It eliminates competition. Traditional auto giants Ford, General Motors, Stellantis think in terms of 10-year strategies. BYD reimagines the market every week. In January 2024, they launched 3 new models and all 3 went into mass production within 45 days. The average time from idea to assembly line is less than 2 months. This is a disaster for companies that need 3 years, hundreds of millions of dollars, and dozens of committees to launch a single new electric car. It's no surprise that governments have started looking to BYD. In December 2024, the German Ministry of Transport signed an agreement with BYD to purchase 3,000 electric buses to replace diesel routes. Tesla agents tried to challenge the deal, citing EU antitrust rules, but a court in The Hague ruled that BYD's position was more environmentally friendly and economically sound. Behind the scenes of this story lies a much deeper threat. If government agencies start choosing the Chinese model, it signals not just a change in preferences, it's a shift toward dependence on systems that can't be replaced quickly.
Over the last couple of months. But the other thing that this could potentially be is an attempt at readjustment or correction by the Trump administration, in that one of Trump's closest kind of allies and supporters, and someone who's clearly very influential in the administration, is coming out to kind of push back against the recently implemented policies. So I'm thinking, or maybe hopeful is the right word, that this might be a signal that the administration is considering walking back some of those policies.
This quiet aggression is especially noticeable in the numbers. In 2024, BYD increased its exports by 87% and domestic deliveries by 46%. In the same year, Tesla cut production by 12% due to a shortage of components. Moreover, analysts at SP said that if the current trend continues, BYD will become the global standard for the mass market within 5 years. And Bloomberg has coined a new term, post-Tesla era. No other company in the world currently inspires such systemic fear among its competitors.
We've accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
He praised all the domestic actions he has taken so far on immigration.
And I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country.
And spending cuts.
We are draining the swamp. It's very simple.
Interestingly, most investors have not yet realized the scale of what is happening. They continue to rely on old metrics, market capitalization, prototypes, presentations. But the real numbers are production rhythms, contracts with municipalities, the speed of infrastructure deployment, and the internal tension felt by competitors. There are already rumors within the industry that several top managers of Western car companies have resigned after internal briefings on the results of BYD's analysis. One of them, an anonymous former head of the Stellantis project team, said in a closed interview that we are not behind schedule, we have already lost. But the shareholders don't know it yet.
Canada, the largest supplier of steel to the U.S., slapping new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods that are sold in Canada. And the 27 countries of the European Union imposing retaliatory tariffs on up to $28 billion worth of U.S. goods sold in Europe, including Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. President Trump with the Irish Prime Minister visiting the White House today. The president suggesting his tariffs won't stop here, saying, of course, I'm going to respond. And tonight, right here, the new poll showing 56% of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. The number's even worse now on the president's tariffs.
Against the backdrop of this transformation, Tesla continues to follow its own path, but it is no longer the leader. It is being caught up not only by BYD, but also by Xpeng, NIO, and Geely. However, it is BYD that is setting the pace, because it's not just about technology, it's about approach. Tesla is playing at innovation. BYD is disciplined. Tesla sells an image of the future. BYD has already built it. And if the rules of the game are not revised now, the next electric car parked outside the White House will not be made in California, but somewhere in a southern province of China, in a factory that operates even at night.
Worse than expected, 336 and 68 vehicles, 336,068 vehicles delivered in the first quarter for Tesla. For a point of reference, the street was expecting, the street account was expecting, based on analyst expectations.
But BYD didn't stop at safety. The next step was to solve a problem that had held back the mass adoption of EVs for decades: range anxiety, the fear of being stranded on the road without a way to recharge. In just 1 year, BYD launched the Super E platform. Unlike Tesla, whose superchargers rarely exceed 250 kW, BYD's system is already capable of delivering 1,000 kW, charging a car for 400 km in 5 minutes. This is not theory. This is not a prototype. This is a ready-to-deploy architecture that has already begun to be installed on key highways in Brazil, India, and Indonesia. Most importantly, all components from cables to charge management software are designed and manufactured in-house by BYD.
Tesla shares have slumped by more than 9% amid a fall in sales in Europe. The electric vehicle maker posted lower sales across 5 European countries, including France and the UK. Joining us now to discuss this is CBS News foreign correspondent Remy Inocencio. Remy, why do we believe these sales are dropping? What's driving that?
Sure. Well, Errol, basically what Elon Musk has been talking about over the past, say, few months, ever since Donald Trump's election back to the White House, that has been fueling this anger, this frustration. Some even say disgust towards Musk, and they're taking it out on Tesla. Tesla now feeling the pain. But because of what's happening here in Europe, Tesla sales fell by nearly half across the continent just last month, 45%.
Thanks to vertical integration, the system operates without losses. At Tesla, every component, from the battery to the charging station, is supplied by different companies, which inevitably leads to incompatibilities. At BYD, the entire process takes place in a single digital loop. The car knows in advance where it is going, how much energy it needs, and where it will be recharged. Moreover, as part of new software called BYD Pulse, which has not been officially announced but is already being discussed among insiders, a distributed battery heating function has been implemented when approaching a charging station. This reduces energy losses by 12% and speeds up current acceptance.
Hey Diane, this investigation really just beginning, and one of the key elements will of course be the surveillance video, and investigators potentially have a lot of it to work with as they try to figure out what caused this fire. We know that surveillance footage has been turned over, including video from each of the cars, which could prove vital to understanding what happened here, because each vehicle has its own camera system that works even when the car is off, and 16 cars burned in this fire, and right now investigators don't know what caused it.
The Super E was a blow from which competitors have been unable to recover. It was this platform that marked the beginning of the transition to mass electric mobility in countries with unstable power grids. In Nigeria, the government signed a contract with BYD in 2024 to supply 1,000 electric buses with Super E support. As this architecture eliminates the need for complex charging infrastructure, each bus can be charged from a generator in a matter of minutes. In Laos, according to internal reports from the UN's Asian division, a model for transitioning to BYD Seagull as the main form of urban transport is being considered due to its ease of charging and resistance to overheating.
After Trump imposed those sweeping 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports, the European Union retaliating with tariffs on up to $28 billion of U.S. goods. Trump making it clear this isn't over, vowing to respond in kind with sweeping retaliatory tariffs early next month.
They're doing what they should be doing, perhaps, for the European Union, but it does create ill will. And as you know, we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs. So whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
Canada also striking back with new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods, mostly steel and aluminum, but also computers and sporting goods.
The Dolphin model, aimed at the European market, began to displace the Tesla Model 3 from the affordable premium EV segment. Priced 5,000 to 6,000 euros lower, it offered the same range, better sound insulation, and higher battery reliability. In the UK, 18% more BYD Dolphins were registered in January 2025 than all Tesla models combined. In Italy, buyers flocked to the Seal, a full-fledged sedan with Audi A4 specs, but priced like a Dacia Duster.
KTLA Samantha Cortese joins us live with more on the wave of vandalism in protest of Elon Musk and his role in Washington. Sam?
Hi, Sharon, Micah. The ATF and FBI are collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement to investigate acts of domestic terrorism surrounding Teslas.
This was not a price reduction. It was a price reset. Amid rising inflation, high interest rates, and currency instability, BYD has shown that it is possible to sell high-quality electric vehicles for less than the price of a motorcycle. According to a leak from an analytical report, BYD is considering launching the Urban Spark platform, a line of EVs priced at $7,000, designed for countries with below-average incomes. Prototypes are already being tested in South Africa and the Philippines.
But they are not ruling out the possibility that this was arson. At the same time, as you just mentioned, there are groups that have been organizing ongoing and peaceful protests at Tesla dealerships around the world. These demonstrations targeting Elon Musk and his affiliation with the Trump administration. Italy's prime minister is said to be close friends with Musk, and there were reports that Teslas have been vandalized in her hometown in Italy. Diane.
Europe has already fallen. In 2024, BYD surpassed Tesla in sales in Italy and Spain. In 2025, it consolidated its success in Austria, the Czech Republic, and Portugal. In the UK, demand for BYD models grew by 143% in 6 months. Subsidies for the purchase of Chinese electric cars are being discussed in the Baltic states and Eastern Europe. All this is happening against the backdrop of falling market shares for Volkswagen, Renault, and Stellantis. Bureaucracy and dependence on suppliers have become anchors dragging old brands to the bottom. While competitors are looking for ways to catch up with the leader, BYD is already changing the very topology of the automotive world. They no longer need to fight for buyers in car dealerships. They are coming in from the other end, the offices of mayors, ministers, and working groups at transport departments. And when new laws are written to their standards, the rest will have no choice but to adapt. Tesla can continue to put on a show. Ford can raise prices to maintain margins. Volkswagen can postpone software updates. But it doesn't matter anymore, because the map has already been drawn. And at its center is Shenzhen,